You guys will never believe this. Last night, I got a DM from a gal in New York talking about, hey, I found your YouTube channel, DM'd me on Instagram, and who knows, I may be flying to New York for a client just because of my YouTube videos. Here I am thinking, dude, nobody watches my YouTube content. My long form content gets like 100 views for a post. Like, why am I even doing this? This is why I don't really post a lot here on YouTube, because it's discouraging to get such good views on my shorts. I have 30,000 subscribers, but my long form content gets absolutely shit for views. And of course, I'm not thinking anything other than like, oh, well, my content's just not good enough, which very well may be the case, but it's also maybe because not a lot of people are seeing my content. Whatever that reason is, I don't know. It helps me though if you like the video, subscribe to the channel. If you do watch the content and get stuff from this, I don't know where Klaus is, but we've been out here proofing off-leash recall because I'm setting his client up for like an off-leash program here where we can go out into the world and do things more reliably and enjoy ourselves a little bit more. So anyway, we're gonna just go ahead and call him home and see how this is going. Hey, Klaus, here, bud. Good boy. There he is. You see him way up there? Come here, Papa. Yeah, it's a man right here. That's good. You know, the whole idea is, if this is the first time you've found my channel, and you know, I've gone through this plenty of times before, is to create dopamine from the e-collar. So basically teach it to be a positive association, right? Which is completely combative with the people that demonize the tool itself, talking about it's only pain, Well, if you teach it correctly, the dog wants to follow the pressure, because this is the pattern. Because the one thing the dog trainers can't really argue about is the fact of which how dogs learn, right? Like, dogs learn through patterns, repetitions, and associations. So what we're doing is we're setting up a pattern to create an association. So here we go. Klaus, here. That's a man. If I said here, I tapped the button. Okay, and I'm attaching a sound to the sensation. Okay. Now, I'm not recommending you just go out and do this. We've gone through a little bit of a conditioning process. We started with the long line, short distances. We're just now at the point where we're like basically completely off leash. And what I'm doing is I'm just waiting for him to, so he's going in the opposite direction. I'm like, oh shit, there's a dog over there. Klaus, here. Good boy. Call him back when he is distracted by something. Does that make sense? Because that's when I need to practice those things. Now, of course, that there isn't a dog over there, and that's what some people are thinking. Oh, well, there's not really a dog there. Would he even come back if there was a dog there? The whole point of having 5 acres to work with, for me, is to set a really solid foundation before we enter an environment of which he's not prepared for yet. If we don't have solid recall without that, you know what I'm saying? If there's no foundation to work off of, you'd be hard pressed to think that he's going to be able to perform that when it's game time. So we're just still a little bit, I've had him for a week. We're still in like the foundational aspect of this thing. And then we're going to go out into the real world, public park, open park, dogs, everything else. But we're also going to add a long line to that. But we're going to drop the long line, and we're going to give him an off-leash experience while he's still on leash. Does that make sense? So I'm not breaking the law, but I'm still giving my dog the experience that I want him to have. And I also have equipment and the knowledge to be able to get him back if I absolutely need it. Does that make sense? So we're just looking for reliability. We're looking for predictability, things like this. And I never really know exactly what I'm going to post in these videos, because I'm just posting like what I'm doing at the time. If you appreciate that, leave a thumbs up on the video, subscribe to the channel. Here I am. I'm like, oh, look at this placemat. Let's just work on a place command real quick. So I'll call him home. Good. Place. Good. Give him some food for getting up there. Klaus. He thinks he dropped some, so I'll just kind of get him back. Sit. Down. Good. Good. Try to make a point of, if you're reinforcing, like he's performing the down, and he's doing good, it's important. If you notice, like when you go to reach to give food, if you come from the top, a lot of the time that'll encourage a dog to come up for the food. So I like to kind of, no, place. Sit. Down. I like to come from way low like this so it doesn't entice him to break the command. I don't want him to do anything other than just hold this down position until I give him the next move. This is just basic obedience stuff. This is impulse control stuff. The ability to stay put until I ask him to do something different. Going back to this is just foundational stuff. I'm going to give him a marker, which is yes, and he's going to come get his food, okay? Yes is my marker for you did it, come get it. So a lot of people get confused over yes and good. I have a preference with this. I'm typically using yes if the dog is going to be in motion, right? So like there's a space created, there's distance created from me and the dog. YES, you did it, come get your food. Now here's an example of when I would use good. Let me move the camera a little bit closer for you guys. An example of when I'm going to just use good is more of a stationary marker. The dog is doing good. Continue to do what you're doing because it's good. Okay? So we're going to ask him to, Klaus, place. Good. Sit. Good. Down. Good. Now I've given him down. I expect him to hold the down position until I give him the next thing. Had I give him sit, that's what I expect of him until the next thing. I like to call it the what's next program. And this is the way I like to formulate my things. So I get a lot of, yes, I get a lot of engagement and a lot of anticipation from the dog. Dog's anticipating what I'm going to ask next, okay? And so that's why there's a lot of feeding involved in each separate, boom, boom, boom. It's like the slot machine theory, keep you engaged. You get a little treat with a bonus from time to time. You're like, oh, I'm going to keep going. I want more. And you keep locked in. It's the same concept in terms of how I like to teach the dog. Klaus, here. Good boy. That's good, bud. Place. Good. Sit. Down. Yes. So there, I put him through a series of obedience commands before I gave him one piece of food. So at the start, if a dog is green and they don't know sit, they don't know down, we're going to individually pay after every behavior. So sit, pay, 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 pay. Down, pay, 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 pay. Pay, pay, pay. Sit, pay, pay, pay. But after they have a grasp on these things and they start to understand the behaviors, you could take them through a whole series of obedience commands before you give one payment. Again, that's like next level. That's like your next step, okay? So there's a process to all of this, and today I'm taking you through a little bit of it. He looks to be a little bit hot. He's over there in the shade, but we want him back. Klaus, here. That's good, bud. Lots of reward, lots of verbal place. Good. Lots of, so in between time, I want to mention this. Yes. So I just said place. I didn't give him a sit or a down, so he was standing up. I still rewarded him just for coming to the place. But when you're doing off-leash recall, you really want to encourage the dog to continue performing the behavior of going from over there to over here. And one of the mistakes I see people make is they ask the dog to come here. It's earlier on in the process, and they just kind of stand there. They say here, and then there's nothing additional to help the dog along. One little tip is if you say, Klaus, here, and he turns his head and looks at you, and you notice him give you that little bit, that's a moment for the marker, yes, you did it, in motion, go from there to here, but also encouragement in between. Does that make sense? So like he turns, you mark the fuck out of that. That's a big celebration. And then you could also back up because you could tap into their prey drive. If you're going that way, like it'll encourage him to continue following. Plus the fact that he's getting paid every single time that he comes back to me. This is just reinforcing and building up this like, dude, every time I come back to this guy, he pays me something. And wouldn't you want to do that too? Every time I go to somebody, they hand me a stack of cash. I'm coming to that guy, bro. You know what I'm saying? But the celebration, going back to what I was talking about, there's a celebration that happens from there, the in-between time. Lots of verbal encouragement in between while he's continuing the behavior to further help him along, to encourage him to keep performing. I don't want him to like, okay, and then you stop your encouragement and then he sees something and fucks off the other way. I want to really kind of like tap into like, I like to call it the art of counter manipulation. I'm going to like manipulate him even more. Are you hot? He's over there in the shade, bro. It's not that hot today, bro. So for example, Klaus, here. Yes, good boy. Good boy. Here. Good boy, yes. Yes, that's a man. So like that's how I would do it. And I'm going to send this to Klaus's owner so she could review this, because this is the type of stuff that we're going to continue working on after this program here. So anyway, additionally, I just have a meal's worth of food here. This session is probably going to go a little bit longer than a normal session for me because there's a lot of talking in between, making these points for you guys. Klaus here, place. And I only did that right there just to practice. I don't mind that he's going, okay, free. I don't mind that he's going over there to go sit in the shade. But it was like a moment that I could use. You know, dogs are constantly in a position. You're always going to be in a position to be able to work on something. So right there, I just kind of took that opportunity. He's got his mind set on going over to the shade, but I still need him to come back here because what if that was a dog? So you're kind of just prepping. You're just prepping. You're setting this pattern so that when we do get out into the world, he's got this foundation of obedience and this practice to fall back on. Hard pressed to think we can get that out there if we don't have it here. Does that make sense, guys? Thanks for watching the video. Cheyenne, thank you for the support. Such a good fucking dog. What a dog. What a guy, you know? Good boy. Love you guys. Subscribe to the channel. Leave me a thumbs up if you appreciate it. And we'll see you in the next one. Good boy, Klasa. Yes. Jackpot reward to end the session. Here, Papa. Look, got more in my hand, dude. Yeah, big jackpot reward. There's a beginning, a middle, and an end. You ready to work? The beginning, the middle, everything we do in between time, and the end. Jackpot reward, session's done. Put the dog away and do it all over again. Love you guys. Peace.